Good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining me here on the Royal House of Ra channel. Tonight's show is episode 8, Dynasty 2. We're going to talk about Dynasty 2 of Ancient Kemet. I am your host, Amenhotep Khufu El Ra. I'd like to thank all of you for joining here with me on the show this evening. Before we go any further, the last show, episode 8, no, excuse me, not 8, episode 7, which was Dynasty 1, I received a copyright infringement from YouTube. There was a song that I played on air during the time of the live show, and they said that I was it was copyright infringement. So what I did, I had to go in there and edit it out, that music. So what I'm going to do from now on is just I can do things to make it fancy and stuff. I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to play any music or fancy. What I'm going to do is, when we go to an intermission, I'm going to let you know, go to an intermission. We go to an intermission for 3 minutes. I'm not going to play any music. Just take a break. Go to your bathroom break. Take a stretch. You may want to munch on something quickly. Go and do that. That's a good time to do that. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to look into other things to do to bring the show a little bit more finesse to it. But yeah, that's what I'm going to do from now on. So I like to thank all of you who support the show and continue to do so. Please hit that like button because that really helps out with the show algorithm, and also hit the subscribe button and hit the notification button so you know when future shows air. Okay, so like I mentioned, we're going to go to Dynasty 1. Dynasty 2, correction, Dynasty 2. So there are 5 kings in Dynasty 2, 5 pharaohs. Let me just show you the opening of that. So these are the 5 pharaohs of Dynasty 2. Okay, so we're going to go into that and read about that from that perspective. I hope everyone have enjoyed their weekend and enjoy their work week, and looking forward to relax further on your weekend. All right, so let's get into the show. Let's get this happening here. Okay, Menethil tells us that the second dynasty consisted of 9 kings ruling for 302 years, but it is difficult to reconcile his statement with the surviving archaeological and written evidence. According to current thinking, 6 kings reigned in the second dynasty, which lasted a little more than 200 years. The names and sequence of the first 3 rulers are inscribed on the back of a statue of a priest called Hotep Death. Opposite the name are right to the left: Hotep Sek Kemwe, Radnep, and Nai Nicher. Hotep Sek Kemwe is little known. Ceilings with his name have been found near the later 5th dynasty period of Yonas at Saqqara, and may indicate that the remains of his tomb are nearby. There is no evidence of his having built at the southern site of Abydos like his predecessors. According to Menethil, he had a long reign of 38 years, but there is little to show for it. His successor Ranab had a slightly longer reign, 39 years, if Manetho is to be believed, but once again, only the telltale ceilings in the same era of the Pyramid of Unas might point to the location of his tomb. There is granite still from Abydos with his name in the usual sekrat. An interesting point that Manetho adds about Ranad is that he introduced the worship not only of the sacred goat of Medes, but also of the sacred bull of Memnophs at the old sun worship center of Heliopolis and the Apis bull at Memphis. In fact, scholars now believe that an earlier king was responsible for founding the latter cult, which is attested on a still dating from Den's Udemu reign. The third king, Ninetcha, ruled for 47 years according to Manetho's calculations. Little happened during most of these. The Palamo stone records events between years 6 and 26 of his reign, including various feasts of gods and running of the Apis bull in year 9, a military campaign in year 13, when there occurred the hacking up of the city of Shemre and the House of the North, and in year 15, the birth of Kasekmewe, next king but one. Manetho also adds that it was decided that women could occupy the throne, but Meredith had apparently preempted this in the previous dynasty. The fourth king of the dynasty came to the throne under the name of Sekhemib and reigned for 17 years. During his reign, however, the simmering rivalry between North and South reached boiling point once more, and a period of internal unrest ensued. The conflict was of a political divine nature, legitimized in part by the mythological struggle between the two gods, Horus and Seth, who fought for control of the kingdom of Egypt. It was of the utmost significance, therefore, that Sekhemib dropped his Horus name in favor of a Seth name. Seth Permis, is Seth Perism, okay, indicating perhaps that the followers of Seth gained the upper hand. Permiset granted funerary stele from Abydos is clear evidence of this change in allegiance, since the falcon above the sekrat of the Horus name has been replaced by the animal of Seth with its pointed ears. A later king, Kasekmewe, was obviously a religious diplomat because he incorporated the name of both gods with his and apparently managed to mollify both factions. Manetho inserts 3 kings between Perephmen and Kasekmewe. Sethans Sindigi, Cheras, Netkar, and Nephrakas, and Neferkara, reigning respectively for 41, 17, and 25 years. The evidence of these kings is slight, and archaeological remains are non-existent. Khosrow was the last king of the dynasty, although some authorities suggest that he had a immediate predecessor with a very similar name, Khosrow. Others opine that they are one and the same person who reigned for 30 years. According to this theory, Khosrow changed his name to Khosrow after he had put down various rebellions and thus united the land, meaning the two powerful ones appeared. The new name incorporated both the Horus falcon and the Seth animal on the sacra. Prior to the restoration of peace, it appears that northern enemies struck south, since an inscription on a stone vase records the year of fighting the northern enemy within the city of Nekheb, the vulture goddess. Nebit, shown in the inscription, was the patron deity of Nekheb, now known as El Kal, on the opposite eastern bank of the Nile to the ancient capital of the southern kings, Acropolis, Nekhen, and was much referred by the rulers of that city. The fighting must have been desperate if northerners could get so far south into the capital city. The number of northerners killed is given as 47,209, represented as controlled bodies around the bases of two seated statues of Khosrow. The statues, one of six and the other of limestone, come from Acropolis and show the king closely wrapped in his hijab, cloak. In both, wears the white crown of Upper Kemet, indicative of his victory over northern Lower Kemetan enemies. They are each remarkable artistic studies at this early period. Khosrow died in about 2686 BC, and his huge tomb at Abydos is unique. It is trapezoidal in shape, 230 feet, 70 meters in length, and varying from some 56 feet to 17 meters wide at the end to 33 feet to 10 meters at the other, with a stone-built burial chamber almost in the center. The robbers missed one prize item in their looting, the king's scepter of gold and sword, as well as several beautifully made small stone pots with gold leaf lid coverings. Okay, so with that said, with the various kings of those dynasties and the inner struggles that they had between Upper Kemet and Lower Kemet, so this is like the founding of how the kings would change the the spiritual faith according to their own interests in how things were to be set forth. Um, let's read further. Before we read further, let me just show you something quick. Okay. Uh, about 1,000 yards away from the tomb in the desert at Abydos is the Shunnat el Sidbab, a vast rectangular mud brick structure 404 by 210 feet, 123 by 64 meters. Its walls, with their articulate palace facades, are up to 16 feet 5 meters thick and almost 66 feet and 20 meters high. They are an incredible survival, being nearly 5,000 years old. It is not known what the exact purpose of the building was, much as it may look like an impressive fort. Excavations revealed evidence of complicated internal buildings, and it may be connected with the provisions made for the king's ka in his tomb nearby. As the dynasty ends with Kasekle, so through him the next one starts. He apparently married a northern princess to cement the good relations between the followers of Horus and Seth. She was called Nim Atap, and a jar ceiling gives her title as the king bearing mother. Later ages saw her as the ancestral figure of the third dynasty, much as Queen Ahotep was regarded as ancestress of the new kingdom. Okay, so that is the end of the second dynasty. So, with this said here, not so much was not a lot of the famous pyramids that you have seen that was built in Giza and stuff started with this dynasty. There were some pyramids with this dynasty, but it was at its infancy. It was growing at this time. We're going to get to the point where the dynastic pharaohs did. I believe it was Dynasty 5 or Dynasty 6. I'm not sure. I have to look at that. But what we're going to do is the next dynasty that we're going to talk about, and that would be episode 9. That will talk about the two kings of Dynasty 3, which is Sednakrti and Dozer. So let me show you this. These are the kings of the third dynasty, in which we're going to have a discussion on that and read about that. Now, let me just ask some of you, if any of you want to add to this, just put a comment on the comments and let me know, because I do read the comments and I will look at it and see how I can add this into the show. Let's see. We can do that. So, excuse me. So let's take heed of that. Now, there's something I wanted to also discuss about. I'm not going to really discuss about it here. I'm probably going to do that somewhere down the line to try to charge and get the Kemetic community charged up and revved up to get involved as towards creating something, a new Kemet, a new Kemetic community, and move from a Kemetic community to a sovereign nation. And I'm not talking about sovereign nation like the Moors would talk about sovereignty. You're walking sovereign. Listen, I'm telling you, seeing things. I've been to the courtrooms and I saw them try to use that sovereignty thing. It's laughable. They get laughed out of court with that. Don't waste time with that. That does not work. What I'm talking about is actual sovereignty. Is where you have to get the UN, the AU to get, because in order to create a sovereign nation, you need to have nations to sponsor you, who will say, hey, yeah, we support them to become a nation. Similar tactic that the Eritreans used when they separated from Ethiopia and became their own sovereign nation back in 1993. And then with the South Sudanese, who became a sovereign nation and separated from the rest of northern Sudan. There is land that's between North Sudan and South Egypt. The name of this land is called the Halab Triangle. Egypt administers this land. They don't own it. It's not annexed to Egypt. Take a look at it, the Halab Triangle. And you can see the Halab Triangle, and there's another territory that's in the northern, is in northern Sudan, but it's northern Sudan don't even claim this. This is part of them. It's called Bertalwi. Okay, so if we can get these territories, get the UN to help, UN, AU, and other African countries to support it, we can become a new nation, and that nation can be a Kemetic nation with a Kemetic government, Kemetic economy, Kemetic morals, spirituality, build up education centers, an economy, a strong military, laws. These are things we should be considered. This is the progression the Kemetic community should be moving towards. Okay, so we can have a discussion on that somewhere down the road. But this is the end of tonight's show. It was kind of short because there wasn't too much information on these various kings from the Second Dynasty, but there is more information on the there is a little bit more information on the kings of the Third Dynasty, and much more information on them. Well, it's actually more than just two kings. It's about 5 of them, I believe. Good. Hold on, let me. Yeah, it's about. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Hold on for a moment. I'll tell you right now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, it's about 5 of them. So it's some information on this. So we're going to go into that. So once again, thank you for tuning in for tonight's show. Yeah, tonight's show was a brief one because of the information that was provided. But we're going to have a further show, and I want those who watch the show, either they watch it live or they watch it on other streaming sites I have it on, leave a comment. Let me know what else could be added into this Kemetic YouTube channel. And also, before we go, I also think that, excuse me, we need to start teaching the metaneta. We have to learn that written language, and we have to learn how to translate that written language into a linguistic language to be spoken. So these are things we need to be doing. So once again, thank you for tuning in. I am your host, Amenhotep Khufu El Ra. And next show will be episode 9. We'll be discussing about Dynasty 3. So stay tuned for the next show. It'll air next week. And once again, hit the like button, because that like button really helps out with the algorithm of the channel. And also hit that subscribe button and hit that notification so you know when new shows appear. So once again, thank you for everything. Have a good night and enjoy the rest of your weekend.